was born in the late 70s in Ellesmere Port. My dad worked in Boywater's paper factory while my mother was at home with me, my brother and my sister. Times were hard. They got much harder after my dad was made redundant. The 90s were much better when my dad became a plasterer and my mum went to college and studied and became an occupational therapist. The 90s were really good for me too. I always had a paper round, and then at 15 I worked as a glass collector at a sports and social club. I felt pretty rich having £2.50 an hour wage at 15. After leaving school at 16, I started a youth training apprenticeship as a plumber. Unfortunately, this only lasted a year. I used to have to leave Neston at 7 in the morning for Bidston, wait 45 minutes for the next train to Birkenhead, then change for Liverpool, then change again for Riversdale. After that, I'd have to walk around a mile to get to my university course, often arriving after our start time. To get home, I needed to leave early to get the last train back home, which I'd often miss. So being late and getting in early meant I was always in trouble with the teachers. Eventually, I had to leave the job because the public transport night work was costing me over a quarter of my weekly wage, and I couldn't survive on such a low income. I did a few different jobs for the next couple of years, and then at 19 I got a well-paid job in a local factory. £6 an hour in the 90s for a lad living at home with his parents was pretty good. I moved out, I lived with some friends, I passed my motorcycle licence, bought a motorcycle, and I went on holidays. Then I had a serious motorcycle accident. I could no longer do my job as it was very physical. Luckily, I got a job working in the lab as a quality control. I had learned new science skills but suffered a large pay decrease. I moved back to live with my parents, and after a couple of years received compensation payout for my accident. I invested the money into buying a house. Back then, the house prices were starting to increase rapidly. The large company I worked for moved from my hometown, and to get there was very difficult as the public transport was awful, and then I got made redundant. After this happened, I had to claim benefits for the very first time. It was horrible. It felt demeaning having to sign on. I hated the stigma and the way I was treated by the staff. After a few months, I got a job in a printer's, and I worked my way up and became a machine operator, where I was on a good wage until the 2008 crash. First we had a 10% pay cut, and then all the overtime rates stopped, and then we lost 25% of our hours each week. And this was the deal for people who were still employed. Soon the inevitable came, my redundancy. Since then, I've been on and off benefits, working for agencies, self-employed as a plasterer, some healthcare work, but I've never been paid enough to get by on. Whilst living on benefits, I cannot afford to heat my home or eat properly. So I keep chickens and I grow my own food. I often have to choose between heating my house for a short amount of time or buying food. Washing clothes is expensive too, and so is buying them. Even socks these days are very expensive when you don't have any money. Now I work in 3 voluntary roles, gaining new skills I can use for the first time and doing work in which I love. I even managed to win a Royal Horticultural Thriving Community Garden Award at Neston Community Centre with a small team of like-minded people. I'd love to get paid work in conservation, but I don't have any money to get paid for the training to get a paid job. I'm stuck in a catch-22 situation where if I sold my house, I may have a small amount of money left to pay for my courses, but then I would be homeless. Or I could keep my house, which I can't afford to heat or even repair, but at least I have a roof over my head, while I do my voluntary work because there are no jobs. I'm in poverty due to low wages, not enough jobs, untrustworthy transport, lack of academic skills. Despite that, I don't consider myself a poor person. I am rich in life, but I have no money. I'd like to thank you all for listening so intently to our stories today, and And I'd like you to welcome all our community inspirers to take the stage.
Can I just say on behalf of everybody here to each of you, thank you so much for what each of you have told us. It takes a lot of guts to share something so personal with anyone, let alone with 250 people. We are all hugely indebted to you. Thank you very, very much. One of the most important areas which we didn't cover was the issue of those in poverty with disabilities. And you will have noticed that one of our community inspirers lives in a wheelchair. And she's just written this for me, and I think I really want to make sure that we add to all you've heard this morning the whole issue of helping those with disabilities. She says this: living in poverty means living with a system that allocates a carer for 1 hour and the carer then only stays 20 minutes. It means waiting a week for a shower, no choice as to what I wear or when I get up, reliant on carers for all my personal needs. So please just think, in addition to everything you heard this morning, about the huge issue of those with disabilities. Right, well, it's now my pleasure to introduce to you Jane and Elaine. You'll remember I said at the beginning that some of the civic and business leaders were going to have a brief meeting while we all had a cup of coffee to get some thoughts together on how this morning made them feel. So I'm delighted to invite Jane and Elaine to give you very briefly their initial thoughts.
Please forgive me, unlike the community inspirers, we've had very little time to prepare. And I think we're just here to pass on the messages that we've just had a discussion as the team of influencers and decision makers. I think the message that came across most of all, that we would all like to say a massive thank you to the community inspirers, and how we are all in awe of their courage and bravery to stand up in front of us today, and most of us were on the verge of tears this morning. So can we just have a round of applause again?
Thank you. The community inspirers have come together as a team, and we hope, civic and business leaders, that we can do the same, that we can come together as a team and work together with the community inspirers. We said it's a gift that we've been given, that we can all work together to try and fashion some change and make sure that things are different in the future. So once again, thank you. We've got a long road ahead of us, and let's hope that we can all work together and make a difference in Cheshire West and Chester.
Well, thank you, Jane and Elaine, for that. I had the privilege of just listening for a moment to what the business leaders, civic and business leaders were saying, and the word courage came up so many times. Now, before we have lunch, I must just say some thank yous for the many people without whom today could never have happened. So firstly, and certainly most importantly, my thanks on behalf of everybody here to all the community inspirers and to the young people from the Youth Senate, to Sharon from the Agricultural Chaplaincy. What a great job you all did. Thank you to you. Thank you also to Chester Racecourse, who kindly let us use this room today free of charge. To Scott from CSP, I was very worried whether the sound would work. It worked brilliantly. Thank you very much for your technical support. To Katie Goldshaw and John Diamond from Edge Hill University, they've been a huge support to the Inspirers, so thank you for your support and input. To all of you at Fallen Angels Dance Theatre, you too are changing people's lives. To Youth Focus Northwest, Collective Encounters and Ambition Funding for supporting our young people. What great performances there were. Thank you very much. And to the steering group, which has met many times and prepared the way for today. My thanks to Cheshire West and Chester Council. They also deserve the word courage. To West Cheshire Food Bank, to Trinity Church, to the Citizens Advice Bureau, to Gloucester Housing, and in particular to Councillor Reggie Jones, who chaired the steering group, to Sonia Bassi with her well-deserved MBE in the New Year's Honours List, she really didn't want me to say that, so I said I'd make a fuss of it. Congratulations, Sonia, on your MBE. If you'd said nothing, I would have only said it once. To Claire Roberts. Claire has done a fantastic job. To Anne-Marie Scragg and to Zilla Edwards. Thank you to you both. And thank you to somebody who most of you won't know here, but actually the man who has really taught us to get this far is Martin Johnstone. Martin organised anyway, the first Poverty Truth Commission in Glasgow. We, the steering group, have all been up to Glasgow to learn from Martin, and Martin's been with us behind the scenes today, and I know will continue to help us in the future. So Martin, thank you for your enormous support. To all of you who've been our business and civic leaders today, and to those who will become commissioners of the new Poverty Truth Commission. And finally, and most importantly, thanks to all of you. Thank you for your enthusiastic support, for your feedback, and we look forward to reading and to listening to what you've got to say. And if when you get home, or indeed at any other time, if you have a light bulb moment, a great idea, please don't keep it to yourself. Please let us know. We want to learn from you. And your feedback and your opinion today is crucial, so please put your leaf on the tree, record yourself in the VoxBox booth, or tell us your thoughts via social media. Right. There is no such thing, ladies and gentlemen, as a free lunch. Over lunch, we would like you all to have a discussion around your tables. So please, when you have got your food, come back to your table. There is a facilitator on each table who will take notes. All your thoughts, suggestions and ideas will be collated and shared at our first PCC meeting. And that way you can each help us with your ideas. You're going to help shape our discussions. And you might like to tell us what it felt like to have to queue for lunch and to fill in a red food bank voucher. And please will you each complete the evaluation form which is on your table. We really do value your feedback. The Commission will now start what will be, we think, about 12 months' work to try to reach some workable conclusions, and we hope you'll all gather here again in 12 months' time to hear what has been agreed. And I'm now going to hand over to Shirley, one of our community inspirers, who will explain the arrangements for lunch. Thank you all very much.